Subscribe to Bisbo and press the bell icon. See boring news turn into enjoyable stories. China has long been looking for a plausible reason to take full control over Hong Kong. They found their perfect opportunity when a 2017 love story turned into a tragedy. The two lovebirds first met at a college in Hong Kong.
Hi, I'm Chan. I'm studying in the business school.
Hey, I'm Poon. I'm learning to cook.
Soon Chang Tongkai and Poon Hu Wing were in love. They decided to head to Taipei, Taiwan and celebrate their first Valentine's Day together in 2018. But once there, the couple fought, and in the heat of the argument, Poon blurted,
"I'm pregnant with the baby of my ex-boyfriend."
In a fit of rage, Chang strangled his new girlfriend, then stuffed her body into a pink suitcase and went to sleep as if nothing had happened. They had started dating just 2 months ago. Poon's mother lodged a complaint with the Hong Kong police when her daughter did not return. When Taiwanese police checked hotel CCTV cameras, Chan was seen dragging a heavy pink suitcase. Confronted with the footage, Chan confessed to his crime and disclosed the location of the body. But the Hong Kong police could not arrest him because the crime was committed in Taiwan. There was a very real possibility Chan would walk free simply because Hong Kong did not have an extradition treaty with Taiwan. Beijing appointed Hong Kong Chief Executive Carrie used this opportunity to amend a policy that would also allow Hong Kong to send anti-China activists to the mainland to face trial. Until now, Hong Kong residents that protested against China were governed under a more tolerant law left behind by the British. More than 2 million of Hong Kong's 7 million residents protested, paralyzing the city for 7 months, posing it to be China's biggest challenge since the brutal crackdown on protesters who took over Tiananmen Square in 1989. In light of the backlash, Lam backtracked a bit.
It will not apply to political crimes, only for criminal justice.
But they could still accuse people for money laundering or other financial crimes and use the law as a backdoor entry to prosecute political dissidents. Corona was another stroke of luck for the Chinese as it stopped all public protests, making the bill easier to pass under its shadow as they kept secret all the law's 66 articles until after the event. Ironically, this event took place exactly an hour before the 23rd anniversary of the city's 1997 handover to China from Britain's 156-year rule, where Beijing promised Hong Kong a high degree of autonomy for the next 50 years under a slogan,
"One country, two systems."
The UK gambled that in 50 years, China would become more democratic and leave Hong Kong alone. They were wrong. At first, China was patient and copied Hong Kong's model, building rival financial and manufacturing centers. As Hong Kong's importance dipped in relative terms, they began to squeeze it. Every few years, the Chinese Communist Party tested the limits to see how far they could push the boundaries. Each time, hundreds of thousands spilled onto the streets in protest, but only managed to slow them down for a while. China now seems to have decided not to veil its intentions any longer, probably believing themselves to be powerful enough to absorb any pushback, and are increasingly aggressive, whether in Hong Kong, their intentions in Taiwan, the South China Sea, or on India's borders. Soon, one by one, Hong Kong's freedoms were taken away. Authorities removed pro-democracy books from libraries, declared slogans such as "Liberate Hong Kong, Revolution of Our Times" as illegal, jailed and sentenced dissidents, barring them or anyone considered anti-Beijing from contesting elections, overhauled Hong Kong's legislative assembly with pro-China lawmakers, charged several members of the anti-communist Democratic Party of illegal assembly, sentencing some to 14 months in jail, blanked out the 2021 Oscars because of the nomination of Do Not Split, a documentary on Hong Kong's pro-democracy protests, as well as for the 4 nominations received for Nomadland, directed by Beijing-born US citizen Chloe Zhao for her alleged statement to an Australian magazine in 2013.
China is a place where there are lies everywhere.
Finally, closing Apple Daily, the last remaining of Hong Kong's 7 pro-democracy newspapers. China did all this despite freezing of assets in the US of 11 of Hong Kong's officials as part of the sanctions imposed by Western nations, fearing which even China's state-run banks were forced to shut the account of Hong Kong's chief executive.
I use piles of cash for my daily expenses because my salary cannot be transferred via a bank account.
UK's special relationship with Hong Kong morally obliged them to offer a special route to citizenships for up to 3 million Hong Kong residents. If China wished, Chan's situation could have been dealt with differently. While China does not officially recognize Taiwan, they have for years exchanged criminal suspects, a model Hong Kong could have used for Chan, but it did not suit their purpose. Hong Kong police, however, did arrest Chan a year later, not for Poon's murder, but for using her credit cards after her death. He was released from prison in October 2020 after serving 18 months of his 29-month sentence, on the promise that he will hand himself over to the authorities in Taiwan, which is pending due to Corona. In some ways, the plight of Hong Kong is a golden opportunity for India to resurrect the 1997 Tarapur Committee and Percy Mystery's 2007 reports of how to make Mumbai into a global financial center. The report found that Mumbai had the requisite talent pool but was short on infrastructure, something that could be overcome. However, no capital account convertibility was considered a major impediment. Now with $600 billion in reserves, fourth largest in the world, what are we waiting for? India cannot afford to miss this historic opportunity. Bisbo's limerick. China promised that for the next 50 years, they would respect democracy and allayed all fears. But in less than half the time, they have broken Hong Kong's spine, throttling their rights and bringing them to tears. Subscribe to Bisbo and click on the bell icon to get notified whenever Bisbo releases a new video. Sources of all our information is listed in the video description section.